Today's lesson is lesson 1 in our unit 1, the number system, section 1, integers. It's called comparing and ordering integers. We have 4 objectives in this lesson. Number 1 is to find opposites. You'll be able to answer the question, what is the opposite of 3? Number 2 is to add opposites. So when we have 4 plus negative 4, we'll know what that equals. The third objective is to compare integers. So when we have integers such as -9 and -7, we'll be able to use one of these comparison symbols to tell which number is larger. And our fourth objective is to order integers. So given a list of integers such as this, we'll be able to put them in order either from least to greatest or from greatest to least. I'm going to give you some vocabulary to start with. We're not going to go into a lot of detail on the vocabulary section, because you'll get this as we go through the examples. The first vocabulary word is integers. Integers is just the set of whole numbers, their opposites, and 0. I know you know what 0 is. I'm going to talk to you about opposites in just a second. I want to talk about whole numbers to make sure you know what those are. Whole numbers are just counting numbers such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are no fractions, no decimals when we're talking about whole numbers. Okay, next word is opposites. Opposites are two numbers that are the same distance from 0 on a number line, but in opposite directions. So I'm just going to draw a quick number line down here, and you can do that too. I'm going to put 0 in the middle. Going to the right are the positive numbers. I'm going to do 1, 2, and 3. When we go to the left, those are the negative numbers. So I'm going to go -1, -2, -3. The further left we go on the number line, the smaller the number is, and the further right we go, the larger the number is. So if I were to go the same distance from 0 on a number line, but in opposite directions, I'm going to go 3 units to the right, and I get to the number 3. If I go 3 units to the left, I get to -3. So 3 and -3 are opposites. The sum, and you might remember sum means additions. When we add a number and its opposite, we're always going to get 0. We'll look at why that's true in just a second. Okay, going to the next slide, it asks us to find the opposite of -8. Opposites are numbers that are the same distance from 0 on the number line, but in opposite directions. So -8 is 8 units to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we go 8 units to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, we get +8. So the opposite of -8 is +8. You don't need to put these on a number line every time. This is fairly obvious. The opposite of -6 is just 6. The opposite of -10 is 10. The opposite of a positive number, such as 3, is just -3. On the quick check, what I would like you to do is pause the video and then come back to see if your answers match the actual answers. So pause the video now. Okay, let's just go over these quickly. The opposite of -12 is 12. The opposite of 13 is -13, and the opposite of -22 is 22. We're going to move on to the second objective, which is finding the sum of opposites. So the first example asks us to find the sum of -3 plus 3. We could write this out as -3 plus 3. To do this, I'm going to start by going to the first number, which is -3. So on the number line, I'm going to go 3 units to the left. 1, 2, 3. There I am at -3. Now, when I add on the number line, you might remember you go to the right. If I were subtracting, I would go to the left. So since I'm adding, I'm going to go to the right. 1, 2, 3, and I end up at 0. So -3 plus 3 equals 0. We're going to actually take a look at the first example from the quick check together, and then I'll have you do the other two on your own. So letter A starts with a positive number. We have 8 plus negative 8. So I'm going to start by going to positive 8. There I am at positive 8. And now it says I'm going to add a negative 8. When I add a negative number, I have to go to the left. So I'm going to go in the opposite direction. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I still end up at 0. Be careful as you do the remaining two. One of the examples does not result in 0, so make sure you are thinking about that and putting it on the number line so that you get this one right. Okay, go ahead and pause the video. Okay, letter B. We're going to start by going 3 to the right to the number 3, and then we're going to add 3. So when we add, we go to the right. So 1, 2, 3 to the right takes us to 6. 3 plus 3 is 6. These numbers are not opposites, so we're not going to get 0. Okay, letter C, we have negative 5. So I'm going to go 5. Whoops, I'm sorry, I'm starting in the wrong place. Let me use my eraser here. Okay, I'm going to go 5 to the left, starting at 0. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And now I'm adding 5. So I'm going to go 5 to the right. And I end up at 0. So negative 5 plus 5 is 0. Okay, moving on to the third objective. We're going to be comparing numbers using a number line, and we're going to use these comparison symbols. I want to just pause for a moment to talk about less than and greater than, because a lot of people get confused about how to read these and how to use them. When we read words from left to right, and we read math symbols from left to right also. So as we're going along from left to right, see my pen going from left to right, I hit the small part first. So I'm going to read this symbol as less than. If I were to look at the other symbol, I'm moving along from left to right, I hit the big part first. So I'm going to call this symbol greater than. So whatever's on the left is how I read it. So this one, the smaller part is on the left, so I read this as less than. And for this one, the larger part is on the left, so I read this one as greater than. Also, just to make sure you remember, the larger part of this symbol always points to the larger number. Some people have said it's like an alligator mouth, and the alligator mouth is eating the number. I don't use any of that stuff. I just remember that the smaller part points to the smaller number, the larger part points to the larger number. Okay, let's move back over here. We're going to take a look at negative 7 and 1. First thing I'm going to do is put dots on the number line to show where these numbers are. So here's negative 7 and here's 1. When we're trying to decide which number is larger, we want to look at which number is further to the right on the number line. Well, there's my little PayPal receipt coming up that I just used to pay for the software that I am recording those with. Okay, so negative 7 is farther to the left. That means that negative 7 is less than 1. And we write it like this. Negative 7 is less than 1. Sometimes this is confusing because the number 7, if it were positive, would be bigger than 1. The negative 7 is farther from 0 than 1, but the important thing is that it is the farthest to the left, so it is a smaller number. If I owe someone $7, I have way less money than if I actually own $1 myself. Okay, I want you to try quick check number 3. Pause the video now. Okay, negative 8, we're going to put a dot right here. And negative 2 is here. Negative 8 is farther to the left, so negative 8 is less than negative 2. Okay, last example, objective 4, example 1. We are going to put these numbers in order from least to greatest. I'm just going to underline those words there. I'm going to start with the least and go to the greatest. Be very careful. Sometimes this will want you to go the other way. Sometimes you'll be starting with the greatest and going to the least. So make sure you know which words you're looking for. Okay, so here's the number 5. Here's -2. Here's -4. And here's 7. So we can easily see on this, we're going to go from left to right because we're doing least to greatest. -4 would be first. -2 would be next. And then 5. And then 7. Okay, pause the video and do quick check number 4 now. Okay, let's go over this briefly. 3 is right here on the number line. Here's -1. Here's -4. And here's 2. So again, I'm going from least to greatest. So I'm going to start with -4, -1, and then 2, and 3. Okay, this is your exit ticket. So remember when we looked at the objectives at the beginning, we had sample questions. These are just like those sample questions. So hopefully you now understand what you're doing, and you can try the exit ticket. If you're doing this at home, you should bring it in and give it to me, and I will check this for you. We're not going to go over it in this video. Thank you.